Hello, everyone. Blue Star Saber here once again with Lucky Chi to discuss another Obi Wan Kenobi review. But this time it will be the last, as we are now doing the final two episodes, episodes 5 and 6.
For consistency's sake, Disney, y'all fucked up. Big time.
Yes, the final two episodes. Have they brought a satisfying conclusion to the series, or have they ruined it? Depending on where you stand on the fan base, who knows? Some loved it, some hated it, some in between. But no doubt that Kenobi has become the most controversial thing in Star Wars since The Last Jedi. At least when it comes to internet debating.
Hey, we don't bring up that abomination. That doesn't deserve to exist.
Anyway, pretty much we're just going to pretty much summarize the two episodes, maybe talk a little bit about some questions after the series afterwards, and then hopefully that'll be it and all that stuff. But yeah.
Well, at least until probably Andor, depending on if you want to do that.
Yeah, I'll be up for it. But anyway, on to the episodes themselves. Episode 5, or part 5, if you will, in which the episode begins with a flashback to of Obi-Wan and Anakin sparring from, just pre-Attack of the Clones. So we've finally gotten the Hayden Christian flashback of young Anakin Skywalker.
Can I just say, the second I saw that, I started crying. I was just like, oh, it's like it's been ages.
Low.
Wow, how heartless is this guy?
I'm sorry, what?
He's arguably the biggest prequel fan that I am.
Oh, yeah.
Shows how little emotion this guy has.
Well, yes, I fanboyed, but you're always the one that was like, my boy! So, yeah. And throughout the episode, you end up seeing them spar. The fight goes back and forth to Anakin appearing to win the most for his aggression, but Obi-Wan eventually using his aggression to defeat him and to remind and to give Anakin a lesson that not to be too rushed to do things. But anyway, that, like I said, that's throughout the episode. Now, granted, I can't remember exactly what parts of the episode for each bit, but nevertheless, I figured, okay, you know what? Just get the whole flashback done, because it's mostly just a lightsaber duel and all that stuff. So, get that out of the way. So, onto the actual episode. Let's see, anyway. As Vader and his Imperial Star Destroyer are arriving on Jabin to find Obi Wan Kenobi, he brings the third sister with her into his cockpit, the captain, the flight deck. Yeah. I can't believe I've forgotten the words and all that stuff. Well, towards her and all that stuff. And for her services, he promotes her to the Grand Inquisitor, which appears to be what she has wanted and all that stuff. Anyway, let's see. Meanwhile, let's see, Obi-Wan and the others have arrived in Jabram and all that stuff as they meet the other refugees and all that stuff as they're preparing to take off. During the course then, Obi-Wan ends up meeting Haji Estri, the fake Jedi from episode 2, who has come there because he's got a bounty placed on him after his encounter with the third sister, and the fact that he's had much of a change of heart since then and all that stuff. So yeah, not to mention he hopes to have some business opportunities on the planet itself and all that stuff. But yeah. But anyway, Obi-Wan Kenobi is telling Roken that he needs to get Leia Black to Alderaan and all that stuff. But, of course, all these other people need to be transported first, since these are all Force sensitives and all that stuff. And during the base, to see, Obi-Wan ends up visiting if I recall, ends up seeing some of the old lightsabers and Jedi robes of fallen, of Jedi have come across. I'm not sure if they're either those who have just given up the lifestyle of the Jedi, or those who died to protect the people that have been fleeing and all that stuff. But either way, it's a sort of powerful scene with Obi-Wan with looking at like let's see the equipment of his peers, if you will. But anyway, but during the course, unfortunately, as we found out from the last episode, Lola had been hacked by the third sister, and then ends up going into the wires.
Which I so totally called.
I'm sorry, what?
I said, which I so totally called in the last stream.
Okay, Fitzy, I can't recall that, but I guess that means I need to rewatch it. But yeah,
No, not in the fact that not with the wires. I mean, like her Lola getting hacked and whatnot. That's what I mean.
yeah. This is confirmation that she's fully hacked and has sabotaged. Let's see the opening door deck, so they are stuck there in the ships. As the third sister and a legion of stormtroopers, with a couple of purge troopers, are there to come and try and catch arrest them. I should probably mention that the writings on the walls for like those Jedi, one of them is like the light will fade but never forgotten and all that stuff. But yeah. So yeah. So after a little flashback of like what I mentioned earlier with Obi-Wan and all that stuff, Obi-Wan and the other rebels and all that stuff are preparing for the siege and all that stuff. With Leia volunteering to repair the Ryas and Harjin being tasked to keep an eye on her as she does that and all that stuff. As Obi-Wan and trying to remember that's the Imperial officer that turned traitor. Remember? Oh yeah, Tala.
Yep. Tala.
Yeah, as they prepare for siege, the third sister is outside the doors and all that stuff. Obi-Wan and her communicate with a little help from the Force on each side of the door, where during this conversation, as Obi-Wan's trying to get her to stop trying to hunt them, he realizes that the third sister is not actually after him, but is after Anakin Skywalker himself and is using him to lure out Darth Vader, as it's revealed that what many people have probably guessed from the first episode, given the Order 66 scenes, Reva was one of the Jedi younglings amongst the ones shown from Order 66, and that Anakin Skywalker had killed the whole lot of her fellow younglings or family in her eyes and all that stuff, when she thought that he had come to help her and all that stuff. The other Hagerton Christensen flashback, as we see him slaughtering younglings and all that stuff.
Did we see him slaughtering them?
Okay.
I mean, we did, but it still felt
the camera angle was more the bit from high up and very quick and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It seems Disney didn't want to go too dark, but I figured they wanted to show it to some extent.
I mean, then again, it's not like we saw that much from Anakin in Revenge of the Sith too. So I mean, I guess if we're gonna go for consistency's sake,
let's see. Well, let's see. Yeah, it was more of implied and all that stuff. It was more of tell and show. But then again, perhaps that would be too dark for a PG-13 movie. Seeing younglings get killed and all that stuff. Anyway, third sister refuses Obi-Wan's request, and the skirmish begins after a bit of a blaster fire, taking down the doors, and then the third sister using the lightsaber to cut through. A skirmish happens with between the remnants, between the sort of rebel, the path rebels, if you will, or the path, or the Force sensitive rebels and all that stuff, and the stormtroopers. Being the first sort of actual Star Wars battle in this, or skirmish, if you will. we're seeing the series and all that stuff. During the course of action, Tala and her droid end up being shot and wounded and all that stuff, and knowing that she's about to die, activates a thermal detonator, causing an explosion to seal off the stormtrooper, or at least to get the stormtroopers and the Inquisitors, the third sister, to retreat for a bit, sealing the door and all that stuff, and and with her sacrifice and all that stuff. Granted, Obi-Wan realizing that they don't have much time afterwards, after many of the rebels are pretty mourning, are just getting over the fact of their losses and all that stuff. But Obi-Wan realizes that he needs to give himself up in order to buy them time and all that stuff, so he volunteers to surrender and all that stuff. In which he eventually does so, but he leaves his lightsaber and robes behind, saying that there are other ways to fight and all that stuff than just a lightsaber. Anyway, and gives himself up to the third sister, but as she ends up contacting Vader that she has him, though due to Obi-Wan's sort of persuasion, gets about how this is like the perfect opportunity to, take out Vader and all that stuff. Though tries to do it, say we could do it together and all that stuff. However, not entirely convinced of working together. She does go through to Obi-Wan's plan to accept and leaves him back inside the hangar with minimum guards, in which, of course, he eventually escapes from. Heading back to the hangar and all that stuff. But yeah. So, let's see.
Okay.
Yeah, just getting the Wikipedia bit and all that stuff. During the course of this episode, as Haji is keeping an eye on Leia and all that stuff, she eventually discovers that Lola is hacked with the droid and all that stuff. Gets rid of the bug programming from her and sorts out the wires, getting ready the ship to leave and all that stuff. Just as they're all about to, however, Vader ends up arriving and appears to use the Force to grab hold of the ship, bringing it down, ripping it open. But everyone appears to have escaped, or no one was in there. But it was revealed that there was another shuttle behind the other one as they fly up and escape. As Vader looks on and furious. And this is where the third sister... prepares for a moment to ignite her lightsaber and strike Vader. However, he uses the Force to block it and all that stuff, and then duels her, though I say duel in a more general term. Instead, he mostly just toys with her, using the Force to block any lightsaber attacks, or even just grabbing out her lightsaber itself, splitting it in two, and then just toying a little bit with her with the lightsaber a bit before drawing that away from her itself from the Force and knocking her, and ends up stabbing her in the same way he did last time in the Jedi Temple. Though he does comment that Kenobi was clever to get the third sister against her. But just as she's about to apparently die or pass out, the Grand Inquisitor is revealed to be alive. And ends up mocking her about how they planned this from the start, or something like that, or how they're playing her from the start as they knew her true motives were and all that stuff. And then mocks her for how they found her and how they're gonna leave her to die like that.
Plot hole solved.
Yeah, but we'll get through that in a bit. As the refugees are flying off and all that stuff, Roken ends up telling everyone that the hyperdrive is not working and the Empire is still pursuing them, as Obi-Wan is sitting with Leia. I think they have a bit of a nice touching moment of holding a hand and all that stuff, if I recall.
I did.
The episode of learning that once again Reva has survived her rune shot, and as Witzy, I should probably mention that during the whole scaffold to get out, Let's see, I'm trying to remember his name. What was his name again? Haji end up dropping the communication thing that Obi-Wan had with Bail Organa, which he did earlier, privately check the recording message about how if Obi-Wan doesn't come back, he'll go and send some help to like the boy and all that stuff, as he will be the galaxy's only hope and all that stuff. Reva ends up finding this communicator and ends up learning that Obi-Wan is protecting what appears to be, let's see, probably get as she guessed, let's see, Anakin Skywalker's son and all that stuff. Ending the episode on a cliffhanger with like we're back before, let's see, heading back to like a Tatooine as we see young Luke sleeping. Ending the episode.
Mm-hmm.
So, Lucky Chi, overall thoughts on this episode? Did you like it or did you hate it?
Well, like I said, you got me crying in the beginning, so if you start off the episode like that, you did something good. Now, granted, you could say that's probably due to nostalgia, but the fact that you made me feel that way says a lot.
Yeah, I must admit, I've seen people loved it. I've seen people found it this like disappointing, saying this is it. And one criticism I have seen is the fact that Hayden Christensen's age now, he looks like he's 40 rather than like the age he would have been like 19.
See, that's the thing. Like, I noticed that too, and I was like, it didn't take away from the moment that was going on, but I didn't take a backseat for a bit and go like, I don't know if they used deep fake, but they did say they were going to use like de-aging on Hayden Christensen. I was like, did they really use it? Because it didn't seem like they used.
Yeah, people expected deep fake, but I'm not sure that they did. I mean, one thing that has been commonly criticized in this show is the budgeting, like with the effects and all that stuff.
No, honestly, like I thought it was one thing to talk about in episodes 2 and 3, but the fact that the fact that it's still here, I can't help but think back to Mandalorian. Like you look at that and you compare, like there's a difference between the two of them when you look at the budget of this versus the budget of that show. Like if you look at how, I mean, season 2's been out for a while, so if you haven't seen Mandalorian season 2, I'm sorry, y'all gotta leave right now. If you look at the way how Luke was portrayed in season 2, and you look at how Anakin's being shown, Hayden Christensen, right? You look at Mark Hamill, you look at Hayden. Luke looked like he was more de-aged in that, or Mark Hamill, I should say. It's more de-aged there than Hayden is here. That's how I viewed it, though. What do you think? When you look at the two.
Well, I definitely say the de-aging. Let's see. Well, the de-aging I think was probably best in like Well, I'll be spoiling because like there's some de-aging in the Book of Boba Fett, and I'm not going to spoil it as to what because you have yet to watch the episodes, even though I keep telling you to. But yeah,
is Boba Fett going to have much significance though in the story? That's
the Book of Boba Fett is Mandalorian season 2.5, especially the last 3 episodes. Okay. You're gonna want to watch those episodes, Lucky Chi.
If we do a stream on this and I end up being disappointed, well, y'all know who I'm gonna. Well, I'm gonna throw my anger at it.
Yeah, I no doubt you're probably gonna get mad at me, but Lucky Chi, let's see, whether you like it or not, those episodes do sort of matter. Some of those episodes do sort of matter to season 3 of The Mandalorian. Let's see. You'll probably like episode 5 the most. Possibly was followed by episode 6. Though episode 7 may vary depending on what you think. But as for episodes 1 to 4, take them, leave them as you will. Though I didn't personally enjoy episode 2. But yes. But yes, Lucky Chi. You're probably going to need to watch them, but yes, I definitely say that. Let's see, whatever deep faking for whichever characters were in there. I'm not going to say the spoilers for that because you have yet to watch them. I'd say it was a bit more of an improvement over season 2 of The Mandalorian, but yeah. So it
Really?
makes me wonder, like, so why they haven't done that and not stuff. I'm not sure if Disney just gave the most minimum budget to Kenobi or not. But sometimes you can kind of feel like,
If they
what?
did, if that's what happened, I'm gonna be like, what the hell?
I
I'm
mean,
gonna
which is
go.
like,
No, I'll personally drag Blue with me, and we'll go to Disney. We'll be like, excuse me, we need to talk about this. We gotta sit down, have some coffee, and be like, what the hell were you guys thinking about the budget? But
but yeah, it's like, this is like literally one of the most hyped things people have been for. You'd think you'd give them the best budget you can have. Then again, it might just be the directing style of Deborah Cho that has probably affected it. Because one thing that I will complain about, let's see, throughout Kenobi is the shaky cam. And you still should see it here and all that stuff. I mean, on one hand, certain scenes it might work in if it's more of like a bit of a schemish shuffle, like a bit of a skirmish in the battle like that. But the more one-on-one duels, yeah, I am not a fan and all that stuff.
it's like 50-50 for me. Like, I see places where it works, and I see places where it doesn't work. So it's like, you know.
Yeah, let's see. When it comes to like more of a big drawn out, let's see, more like a war zone kind of thing. Yeah, I can actually kind of see that happening because, well, that's a war zone. You could die any second, so you're always moving about and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So you're not standing still.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Now let's see. But yeah. But for the most part, yeah, I love the fight. Though, granted, I have seen some criticism. People have like how this lightsaber duel just pretty much mirrors that of the one they had in Revenge of the Sith. And the lesson that they had is apparently one that we've already heard before.
In a sense.
But yeah. But of course, I just enjoy just seeing Hayden Christensen, and he's still got it. Whether or not this will be regarded as his best performance as Anakin Skywalker, who knows?
Well, if you've kept up with the news, you know this isn't the only time we're getting him. So
Yeah, I'm aware. But it's nice that finally, after, though granted, well, it took 5 episodes, but we finally got it. Though granted,
I mean, it's not like Hayden was never in the show. Because if we're gonna be real, the person in the back to tank and at the end of episode 2 was Hayden. So it's not like we didn't get him.
Let's see. So yeah, we've mostly seen him in back-to-tent scenes, and well, granted, when it comes to him being actually Darth Vader himself, it remains to be seen whether or not it was actually him or stunt doubles.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, on one hand, nice flashback, though I will admit, for the rest of Kenobi, yeah, we probably should have gotten some more. Maybe even just in an episode of just with the Obi Wan having flashbacks of his times together with Anakin. But
I mean, here's the thing: we've seen like little instances of Hayden throughout the show. Like we saw him a little briefly. I want to say, was it beginning of episode 2 or beginning of episode 1? I'm trying to remember because we've only saw. Episode 1 was the flashbacks from the prequel trilogy. No, but it wasn't there one where he saw Anakin from the back. Like it was like,
yeah, episode 3 when they were looking for like transport and all that stuff.
No, not that one. It was like a vision he had, and it was like the stance he had was very similar to the stance he had on Mustafar.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
Yeah,
that was episode 3.
Okay.
So yeah, in many ways, let's see, just seeing Hayden as himself as being a bit underutilized in this. Now, whether or not this makes it up for people, but who knows? But nevertheless, I enjoyed it. So there we go.
And I'll say this: with the scenes he was in, if I hear anyone shit talking Hayden again, I'ma come to you and I'ma slap you. Cause I don't know how Blue feels. I feel like this showcases what Hayden's capable of. I feel.
Yeah,
I saw what he was capable of in in Revenge of the Sith, and I know people like to downplay him in Attack of the Clones. I know that, but I blame that more so on script than actually him. But
Fair enough. Yes.
Long story short, you're also downplaying Hayden. Go get yourself checked out. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay. Well, anyway,
what about you, Blue? How do you still feel about that when it comes to the
what?
hate people give to Hayden from the prequels versus how he's shown here?
Well, I think many people are wrong, though granted, I think most of that has died down now.
Mm-hmm.
And pretty much most people have accepted him as Anakin Skywalker at this point and get hyped up whenever they see him in any Star Wars project or just see him at Star Wars conventions.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, granted, I definitely say the hate towards him has died down. Whether or not people still think that he will be good as, though some fans will probably think he's still good or not as Anakin Skywalker, remains to be seen. But at the moment, I think many people won't mind seeing more of Hayden Christensen in the future. Anyway, so the third sister. By the way, is there an echo in the background?
Nope.
Okay. I'm not sure if that's me or something, or never mind.
It's the voices in Blue's head.
Not really. Anyway, we end up finally getting the whole backstory of Reva, or the confirmation of the backstory, which was probably obvious given the. On a second.
Come on. Okay, I hear now.
Yeah. After, let's see, from the very first episode that we've got probably guessed is that yes, Reva was amongst those younglings that was killed and all that stuff, and the reason why she's been so after Kenobi was to lure bait to get revenge on Darth Vader, which is like, yeah, that makes sense as a motivation. Now, whether or not it was executed well, how do you feel about it?
I mean, I think it makes sense. No, I was going to say, I feel like it makes sense.
Yeah.
Wait, what happened?
Hello, Lucky Chi.
I'm still here.
I can't hear you. Hold on, let me just.
Hold on.
Am I muted? Nope. Lucky Chi, I can't. Let's see. Something's wrong with your mic. You need to try and edit it or something.
Huh? I'm talking right now. Yeah.
Lucky, I can't hear you.
Huh. Hold up. Okay. How's that?
Lucky Chi, Lucky Chi, I can't hear you. People were having some technical difficulties. Okay, Lucky Chi's just quickly. Let's see. Hopefully he'll come back on. Let me just. I'll just try and quickly copy this and. Looks like Lucky Cheese. There we go. Lucky Cheese there.
Can you hear me now?
Hold on a sec. It seems, Lucky Cheese, that you're still. Let me just. Okay. Let me try that.
Hello.
Okay. It seems like that. So was I muted for the entire time, or?
No, I felt I could hear you. I don't know what was going on because I was talking the whole time.
Well, it seemed. I think I know what happened. My microphone. Once I unplugged it, then plugged it back in. It seems like I might have caused a mute and all that stuff. So, did you hear So, what did you hear? Out of curiosity.
No, you were asking me if it made sense or whatnot with the Reva stuff, and I was saying I think it makes sense given how, if we go back to the end of episode 2, how she was talking about how Anakin Skywalker is alive, right? Which was kind of a red flag for both of us. It's like, well, how does she know about Vader being Anakin. Because I remember that was the one thing you and I were both kind of like, it was like, okay, yeah, I could see why she would name drop it to Obi-Wan, but at the same time, it's kind of like, how does she know that exactly? So
it's like the best, because it's like the best kept secret within the Empire.
yeah, so getting the fact that she was a youngling and that she witnessed it, I know some people are gonna be like, well, it's not like the stormtroopers name dropped him as Vader. Yeah, you could say that too, but I think given the fact that Anakin took her and that they probably referred to him as Vader, that's the best implication you can get out of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. How do you feel?
Sorry, what was that last bit?
No, I was gonna say like, given that Anakin took her, and again, my assumption because it was off screen, one of the stormtroopers just name dropped Anakin, or he was talking to Palpatine, and Palpatine called him Lord Vader.
Well, the stormtrooper thing wouldn't make sense because none of the stormtroopers would actually know who Anakin Skywalker is. I mean, granted, perhaps
That is true.
Maybe some of the 501st clone troopers might know, but that were there in the Jedi Temple and all that stuff. But I think most of them ended up being killed when Obi-Wan and Yoda went to the Jedi Temple to alter to change the warning beacon that was telling all Jedi to come back and all that stuff. So there's that. But yes. Anakin Skywalker being Darth Vader, like I said, is probably the best kept secret within the Empire. The only ones that know, of course, Anakin Skywalker himself and Emperor Palpatine, with maybe Grand Admiral Thrawn and Grand Moff Tarkin suspecting who he is and all that stuff. Anyone else that learns who Anakin Skywalker is at this point usually ends up being... Are you eating?
No, just having some soup. But go on.
Okay, well, yeah, sorry, the sound of the soup is loud.
My bad. Here.
But yes, so anyone that does end up finding out who Anakin Skywalker is ends up and does not live long to tell the tale, such as the Jedi Librarian, the clones that were there with Vader, the Hunt of the Librarian, this Imperio that was kept in tasks of like watching over Darth Vader for a while in like the first set of comics set after New Hope and all that stuff. But yeah.
Let's see. The only ones who knew of Vader being Anakin outside of the Empire was Obi-Wan for obvious reasons.
Yoda and Bail Organa.
Oh, you're also forgetting Ahsoka.
Well, Ahsoka doesn't know at this point.
Well, yeah, right now she does, but she does find that out.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Yes. At the moment, not right now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so it's like best kept secret. So her being a survivor of the Jedi Purge and all that stuff on the temple attack, yeah, makes sense. Makes a lot of sense on that part. Let's see. Well, granted, I think some will question the fact that, Anakin stabbed her and she played dead and all that stuff. I think many people will question that bit.
Okay. I'm glad I'm not the only one who found that weird, because I was like, normally, because again, you go back to Qui-Gon, which is when I bring him back up. I'll mention more about that later. But the fact that you had Qui-Gon get stabbed and he didn't live to tell the tale, but Reva does, it's like, I don't know if you can call that an inconsistency or a slight retcon to the Star Wars lore, but I don't know. It's weird.
Well, even Vader, Anakin not realizing accidentally stabbed her in a part that was non-vital, though that's a bit weird. Or in the moment Anakin killed her and her friends right before her eyes and all that stuff, she fell to the dark side and grew anger and resentment, which seems to be the only thing that keeps someone alive from stabbing, given the fact that happened to Darth Maul. Let's see. Darth Maul, and let's see, I guess you could argue Emperor Palpatine a bit, possibly. I don't know, they didn't really explain Palpatine that well. And I guess also, the Grand Inquisitor, who was also alive. Are you glad that has been resolved and that, oh no, Disney have not caused continuity issues?
Well, I had to see, here's the thing. I wasn't freaking out. I know people were like, did Disney have its first fuck up? For me, I was like, again, here's the thing. When was that? That was the end of episode 2, right? Or was that no, that was the end of episode 1, if I remember correctly.
Episode 2. It was episode 2 the Inquisitor got stabbed.
Yeah. Here's the thing. The fact that we still had like 4 episodes left, I was like, look, story's not done yet. So let's not make any judgment calls until like after Kenobi's done. That's what I said. So the fact that he showed back up, I was like, see, this is what happened when we jumped the gun too early.
Yes, though, granted, it doesn't really explain how he ended up surviving. I'm just going to have to go with the same explanation that Reva survives. So I do like how he gets a toy with her. It's like, we knew what you were from the start. Let's see, someone just willingly infiltrating the organization of the Inquisitors just so she can get the chance to kill Darth Vader.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. So, yeah. Now, granted, of course, let's see. I do like how Obi-Wan was quick to deduce what it was she was after and all that stuff, and how to, let's see, and tries to offer, we could just work together, or tries to plead, trying to, like, let's see, just as he just gives up himself just so the others can escape and all that stuff. And you can tell there might be a little bit of conflict with her in there, but she ultimately just tries to do it alone, and boy, was that a mistake.
Yeah.
Boy, I'm not sure about you, but I was fanboying out with how Vader easily bested her.
Oh, you better believe I was ecstatic. I was like, you see, if we go back to Rogue One, we go back to this, especially if we go back to Rebels. I know all that stuff technically after this, but
And Jedi Fallen Order.
That's true. I always seem to forget about Fallen Order for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Okay. When I say I forgot, it's not to say the game's forgettable. It just slips on my mind whenever I think about stuff.
Anyway, go on with your point.
My point is, Vader isn't someone you should, try to tackle by yourself, unless you're Obi-Wan or Ahsoka. Case in point.
Yeah, so Darth Vader is at this point a near unstoppable force of nature. Let's see, with the only beings in the galaxy capable of possibly challenging him, being like his master, the Emperor, Obi Wan Kenobi, Ahsoka Tano, probably Jedi Master Yoda, and probably also Darth Maul as well.
Well, there's also Luke. If we're gonna be on it, yeah.
And also eventually, of course, Luke Skywalker. And maybe, and the only others that may be the case, if any of them are still alive, maybe some Jedi Masters that were from the Council that still managed to survive Order 66 at this point. Because I do know
maybe Kylo Ren. No, I'm joking about that last one.
With like a well, granted, there's also like, I guess you could also, if you go to EU Legends, Starkiller or Galen Malak could like deal with Obi-Wan Kenobi. Darth Vader. But of course, he's no longer canon, so no. But yes, let's see. This fight scene really showed you just how beneath the Inquisitors are to Vader and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see, many of the warriors, I think, was like, oh, this would be a bit of a struggle for Vader, but no. He doesn't even draw his own lightsaber. He just uses the Force to block the third sister out of the way or push her aside. And he even takes her own lightsaber and has it detach itself into like 2 solo one lightsabers, each just to give one half back to her, just so he can spar with her a little to only disarm her
Now,
again.
I hate to cut you off on this, Blue, but when he was holding the 2 lightsabers, I don't know about you. I thought he was gonna do what he did to Dooku in the beginning of Revenge of the Sith. I was like, is he gonna do the same thing? Because, damn.
Yeah, slice the head off, and yes, and I think if that ended up happening, I don't think many people complain, but teams would complain too much about it. But
How would you feel if that actually did happen, though? Like, he was holding both of them, he's like, all right.
well, if it did end up happening, and let's see, this would be the confirmation that the third sister's dead, because it seems you gotta make sure that at least with dark side users cut off their heads to make sure that they are actually dead.
Or in Anakin's case, take off the mask and, well, dead.
Or that, yes, but yeah.
Well, okay, Anakin has a more viable reason why he dies after the mask comes off. There's a more viable reason why that happens.
Yes, but yeah, something like that. But yeah. Anyway. But yes, let's see. But yeah, just Vader just toying with her was probably one of my favorite fight scenes in the, let's see.
On the show?
Yeah, I definitely say I mean, I even argue it's probably even better than the flashback lightsaber duel and the Obi-Wan and Vader duel from like the episode 3 and all that stuff.
Well, let's be fair. The flashback scene was more of like a training session, so it's there is that argument you can make.
Yeah. Too. And I think the let's see, fighting moves were very similar to that of episode 3, so stuff that we kind of saw before.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, of course. But yeah. But yeah, I do like how Vader just easily bests and all that stuff. But yeah.
Yeah.
Well, granted, one complaint that's probably going to happen is the fact that Vader ends up stabbing. Well, I think it's like ironic that, let's see, sort of tragic and sad that once again Vader stabs her in the same place. No longer having a use for her, and it's clear. And I do like how Vader probably knew from the very beginning that he was always her target and all that stuff. So he ends up, just let's see, just using her for as long as she can to get Kenobi, and then let's see, just kill her and all that stuff. And I do like that he gives her the false sense of like, oh, you're no Grand Inquisitor now, when it's like, nah, I'm just giving you a false sense of security and all that stuff.
Right.
Let's see, guys. The Grand Inquisitor was alive all along and possibly been spared thanks to Vader to an extent. So it was like, let's see, just wait for the perfect moment to try and get rid of her when no longer use for her and all that stuff. Though, granted, I think the main criticism from many people will be the fact that she ends up being stabbed, but survives again and all that stuff. And I think for many people, it's like, this seems a bit out of character to Vader to make sure that she's not permanently dead and all that stuff, because you know how ruthless Vader is and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And the fact that, let's see, now she seems to be going after Luke and all that stuff. But we'll get to that, I guess, in the next episode. Let's do some things that we need to talk about left off and all that stuff. And, okay, let's see. I'd kind of like seeing Haja back and all that stuff, giving us one of the other recurring characters of the show and all that stuff. And not to mention that I do find him funny, though I will admit, there was one joke scene about, I think, with him, it's like, when she's like, echoing Leia's message in the middle of a serious moment and all that stuff. I think that didn't really work, but other than that, it was fine. I do like how he's been tasked by Obi-Wan to keep an eye on Leia, even though he's a bit worried of that. I'm a bit worried about that because of like our last encounter, but Obi-Wan was yours and like, yeah, I trust you right now and all that stuff. So there's stuff like that. I did quite like the skirmish between the stormtroopers and the Pathfinders, though I will admit. I do feel like the Empire would probably have a lot more forces storming down to find Obi Wan Kenobi than just a squadron of stormtroopers, really. But granted, it's probably just as many as there were for the Mandalorian season 1 finale. But that was like the Empire at its remnants and all that stuff. I feel like there should have been a lot more stormtroopers, given the fact they're after Obi Wan Kenobi. But I guess that's just me. I guess it doesn't have enough costumes. I guess it could also be more on the budgeting issue. But yeah. Let's see. What did you make of Tula's death?
I actually liked it.
You think it was earned?
I think it was earned.
But yeah, I definitely say that this is probably a lot more of a, more better death than, like, say, last episode where, like, Wade, this character we only just knew from, like, the beginning of, like, the bit of the episode, ends up just getting killed and all that stuff, which I know makes sense in universe for people to go like, Wade, especially as, like, comrades, but for the rest of the audience who are like, who the heck is Wade? But here, since Tula's been a character that has bonded with Obi-Wan and I guess Leia and has been around for at least the last 2 episodes, it makes sense that, there'll be a bit more, stakes and all that stuff. And not to mention, it does show that there are casualties in this, like, skirmish as, like, the Inquisitors, like, hunting down Obi-Wan Kenobi. Wouldn't you agree? Just give your thoughts for a bit, Lucky Chihuahua, and just quickly head to the toilet if that's okay with you.
How do I want to describe my thoughts on that? Whoa, okay. As far as the skirmish and everything goes, I think it makes sense for the most part. Given with where it all leads, specifically, going from Obi-Wan to Reva and then I don't know, it's interesting. That's the one thing I'll say. It's really interesting to see where, kind of all goes and the situation where everything's in after episode 5, I would say. Give me 1 second, guys, okay?
At least wait for me to come back before muting yourself. Phone call. Well, at least now I know Lucky Chi knows what it's like when you leave me hanging, but now, heck, he's left me hanging again. Well. Well, this is a very amateurish, stream today, folks. I apologize. Again, I probably should not mention where I was going. But anyway, now I want to admit, Leia, I will admit, did not really have much to do in this episode, I will admit. And it's a little bit disappointing, but then again, the focus wasn't really on her in this episode. It was mainly between Obi-Wan, Darth Vader, and Reva. And I guess you could also probably maybe count Tula for a little bit. But I guess I do like how that she was able to find a use in the episode of her size, as Yoda used to say, size matters not. In order to sneak into, like, the wires and all that stuff and try and find the problem, which turned out to be our own droid. I figured that Disney was going to do. I figured they were going to make a player choose between destroying her own droid and to save the rest of the stuff and all that stuff. But no, she just managed to pull out the plug thing to come and she pulls out the hacking chip thing that's been planted in Lola to come and to turn her back to her old self and all that stuff. So that. Other than that, I do kind of like how she ends up being with like tries to stay safe with Obi-Wan. I did like I like the callbacks to the Jedi and all that stuff. And I have no idea how long this phone call is going to be with Lucky Chi. Let's see, what else is there? Yeah, I like Tulu's death.
You were asking how long the phone call was going to take? It didn't take that long.
Okay, but yeah. Anyway, I was just commenting on.
And if you were wondering how long I was muted for, I muted the second you got back.
Yeah, no, it's like, but now you know it's like when you leave me hanging for a bit. I'm trying to find out stuff to do, but that's like, you still did it to me in the end.
I always get the last laugh, Blue.
Yes, even when I seem to try and think, okay, I'm going to teach you a lesson this time.
To quote Anakin, you underestimate my power.
Don't try it, Lucky Chi.
What do you cut off my limbs and everything?
Well, yes, that's how the story goes.
Oh, boy. You know what I have to say? I am what you made me.
What?
I said, I am what you made me.
You have done that to yourself. Anyway, but yeah, I was commenting Leia wasn't really doing much and all that stuff, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I think the main thing to the episode that I must admit I'm a bit surprised that they ended up doing, but still thought was awesome, is the fact that they arguably did at this point in time Vader's most impressive display of the Force, in which he grabs an entire ship.
Wait, I've seen a lot of people say, okay, if he could do shit like this, why didn't he do that in Empire Strikes Back? And look, I'm gonna say right now, we're just gonna have to hand wave it because obviously Lucas didn't envision it like that with Vader when he made those movies. We have to take it like that, but considering this is only 9 years before the original trilogy, it does kind of make you go like, now wait a minute. Why, if he could do all this, why not showcase that?
Well, I suppose in many ways, remember, Star Wars movies are products of their time.
That's the thing. That's what I was mentioning, is that when the original trilogy came out, it's not like they had that envision that this is how it was gonna evolve into.
Yeah, and even though they were very advanced effects for their time, there were, of course, limitations. Now, granted, some people, of course, argued those limitations probably helped the film to be as good as it was, which is probably to an extent, but it probably also prevented perhaps maybe more impressive displays of Force powers and abilities that you'd probably get more in modern Star Wars movies. Now,
yeah. Because here's the thing. I know everyone, like, I love the original trilogy as much as anybody, but when you go back and watch the fight choreographies now, it does feel dated in that aspect. It's not a bad thing, but you know.
Well, mainly with episode 4. Episode 5 and 6, I think, still held up to quite a bit.
That's true.
Now, granted, and let's see. Well, granted, it's very possible that if episodes, if the original trilogy end up being made today, there probably would be a bit more flash in the choreography and maybe a bit more impressive display of Force.
Well, yeah, because like I'm pretty sure you've seen that one fan video somebody made, right, where they took the episode 4 fight with
Obi
Wan and Vader and they modernized it.
yes, we talked a bit before about that.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, some might even argue that that fight scene is better than whatever. Let's see, depending on how you really feel about Kenobi. Some might argue that fan stuff was more better done than, let's see, anything done in the Obi Wan Kenobi series. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, let's see. For me, I personally liked it, and I just like how quick Vader was to just rip the ship apart to find Kenobi. It's like I'm not wasting time. Granted,
But you would have to imagine though, like if he could do that, he could have possibly done that with the Falcon too in Empire.
Possibly, yes. Or either that, or the Falcon ends up being the Falcon is a much faster ship for him to try and grab onto him. That's what I'm just going to have to assume.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, granted, no, the many criticisms that I have seen people criticize, like, why didn't Vader just grab the ship, the second ship as well? Which, to be fair, I assume that one just flied much faster than the one that tried to escape before Vader could do it. But yes. But yeah, like earlier we mentioned, Vader being an unstoppable force of nature.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, with that said and done, I think it's time to review, to give the score to this episode.
Well, it's interesting when we're reviewing this episode compared to last one because, I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone I know everyone has a unanimous decision that episode 4 was. Oh, the fillerish episode of the whole series.
Yeah, fillerish or the weakest episode.
Yeah, but even for the weakest, like if I remember correctly, I gave it like great to great plus, if I remember correctly.
I believe I gave it around.
It was like an 8 to 10, if I remember correctly.
I think I gave it an average of 7.
Yeah.
Though, depending on my mood, I could give it a 6 or an 8, depending on how I'm feeling at the time.
Yeah. This one, I might go ahead and give it. I can't say amazing. I mean, I could, but well, yeah, no. I'll go ahead and give it amazing. And the reason why I won't go the pure perfection route is because, well, the effects of it is where I think is where it kind of hinders, in my personal opinion.
Yeah,
just more the more practical elements of it is what I would say.
Yeah, the effects and the choreography and some of the fight scenes do leave a bit to be desired.
Mm-hmm. But so if we're talking strictly story, it's really good.
Yeah. So yeah, it'd probably be like 8 to 9 out of 10 for me for this one.
Mm-hmm.
A much bigger improvement over last episode, which was definitely regarded as the weakest episode by everyone and all that stuff, even professional critics. But yeah. So anyway,
I'd argue this could have been episode 4. I'd say.
Very possible, yes. If perhaps we didn't have to rescue Leia a second time.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, but with that said, now on to part 6, the final episode. Episode 6.
I'll go ahead and let Blue talk.
In which, given from what we got from our last cliffhanger of like young Luke sleeping, let's see, with like a Reva knowing who she is due to the message from Bail Organa, which I have to admit, many people have probably criticized that bit of being like Bail not being smart of like the vague, given how much you've informed and all that stuff. Let's see. As we're cut to Tatooine, where we see that Obi-Wan's boss has cut like some line to some soup or some food thing, I believe, but ends up being pushed aside himself by none other than Reva, or the third sister, if you will, who has somehow managed to get onto Tatooine from Jabin and all that stuff. Let's see. And she's clearly hunting for Owen Lars, looking for a farmer named Owen Lars, as she probably end up realizing that the farmer she met from the last episode is the one that she's looking for, or at least that has the boy that she's looking for and all that stuff.
This is true.
Let's see, we'll get more into this a bit later. But anyway, we're cutting to more of like the Vader's Imperial Star Destroyer, the Devastator, pursuing the Koran Rokan's fleet transport. Let's see, I think Rokan's the name of the leader of the path, of the rebels, if you will, or this group of rebels.
Mm-hmm.
All that stuff, and as they're trying to avoid the Star Destroyer, and all that stuff, given the fact that their hyperdrive isn't working, and if they don't hurry and run and all that stuff, they'll be sitting ducks.
Yeah.
Hold on a second.
You can keep on going with the explanation. I'm just going to go drop my phone on the sink.
Yeah, I'm just getting the Wikipedia page up again because I just want to make sure I'm remembering the order of bits because I've only watched the episode once. Silly me, I know I should watch it the second time. As Rokan confides with Obi-Wan that the hyperdrive isn't working and all that stuff. Let's see. As Obi-Wan is talking to this, Leia's apparently comforting Corran and his mother, who may be Corran Horn and all that stuff. Well, granted, the kid may not be a young Corran Horn from the Legends stuff, but we have yet to get confirmation on that, but who knows? As that is the situation with Obi-Wan and Anakin and Leia. Meanwhile, we are cutting to back to Tatooine, where Owen with Luke are going out shopping a bit, where I think Luke is looking for some parts for, a speeder and all that stuff, where the soup guy from earlier comes to warn Owen that someone was after him and his family and all that stuff. As he thanks him, he gets Luke and drags him away back to their planet and back to their homestead and all that stuff. As we end up seeing Anyway, as we then cut back to Leia and Obi-Wan, as Obi-Wan has decided to reveal the plan, as he was talking to Rokan before about how he'll cause a diversion to escape, he'll leave first, cause a diversion as Vader's after him and all that stuff, and told Leia, which she isn't happy about, and saying now they need to stick together, in which some of the other passengers, including Cohen's mother, I think. I think even Rokan tries to. Rokan please. Even Rokan says that needs to stick together. However, Obi-Wan, not convinced, feels like he must do this, and let this anger upsets Leia that she kind of storms off. Though Obi-Wan, understands this, goes and all that stuff, and requests that Harjin and all that stuff to look after Leia for her and make sure she gets her back to Alderaan, as Lars and Beru are preparing for the Inquisitor's arrival, and they both have Lars tries to tell her to get Luke and flee with her, but she's staying to defend their home, as they reveal to have blaster rifles and all that stuff with them, as they decide to defend their home and all that stuff. But yeah. But anyway, but thanks to Haja, I can keep getting the name wrong, has managed to calm down Leia. Obi-Wan and Leia say a bit of goodbye. Well, Leia's still upset that Obi-Wan won't be coming to her to Alderaan and all that stuff. She still hopes that she reluctantly accepts, Obi-Wan's decision, with Obi-Wan saying goodbye to her and asking her to leave a message to Bail Organa that he's sorry that he cannot come back to save her, but at least lets him know about what he has done to make sure that she is back and all that stuff. As let's see, even as he now prepares to face Vader, even if it might kill him, as he boards like a spare ship's shuttle and all that stuff, and starts to move away. As Vader notices it, realizing that Kenobi is on the shuttle, tells his Star Destroyer to move course and follow Kenobi, even though the Grand Inquisitor says that, Obi-Wan, that the priority should be more on like the cargo ship with the rebels. I mean, the transport ship with the freighter with the rebels and the Force users, and this is their best chance to rid them once and for all. But Vader having none of it. It's like Kenobi is no ordinary Jedi. He wants to end this. This is personal for him, so he just calls the order to to go after them and deal with it and all that stuff. And that's what happens, and they end up setting to what's the well, I don't know what's the name of the planet. Oh yeah, I should probably also mention that Obi-Wan has given Leia Tala's gun holster and all that stuff. Since that was the only thing that she took that was left of her, she took it off to give to Leia and all that stuff. Given the fact that Leia was interested in that holster a bit earlier and all that stuff, but yeah. Anyway, as we go back and forth a bit, let's see, as the Larsers are preparing to defend Luke and all that stuff. Let's see, and not to mention the fact, I think, I think Beru was a bit annoyed with Owen for alienating Obi-Wan earlier and all that stuff, but let's see, to make sure that Luke is not entirely informed of the situation, they inform him that there are a bunch of Tusken Raiders about to come in and attack them or something. They attack their farm and tells them that to hide and be safe and all that stuff. And literally to stay in the safe space, to stay in the sort of safe part of their house and all that stuff. Though Luke ends up saying the lines, "I'm not afraid." So, if you will.
You will die braver than most. If anyone catches that reference, good on you. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, and let's see. And during the bit of course of the episode, that part of the episode, let's see. Rava, though wounded, ends up battling. Let's see, both the Larsers, though clearly still wounded from Vader's stab. Let's see, can barely hold it. Let's see, while still beats them, can barely hold her advantage against the two Larsers.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, Obi-Wan confronts Vader in a sort of parallel struggle, if you will, on this rocky planet where they finally have their lightsaber duel. Let's see where Obi-Wan ends up eventually doing I'll do as I must or something, and I think Vader saying and then you will die or something, if I recall the lines.
Mm-hmm.
And they begin their lightsaber duel, and it is epic.
That would be an understatement, but yeah, let's say epic to be more lightly about it.
Yeah. During the course of Lars' homestead, eventually Reva gets to the bunker bit where Luke is hiding, where Lars says that he is my son. We go where Reva mocks us all this trouble for someone that's not your son, and Owen says that he pretty much Luke is his son. And no, granted, Reva ends up beating him, and then also at the same time, eventually, Beru. Luke ends up climbing up the ladder and escaping before he can see any lightsabers and all that stuff. So, yeah. As he starts to run into the desert with her in pursuit. Meanwhile, Obi-Wan, Anakin Darth Vader end up having their duel, and it results to eventually Vader using the Force to cause a bit of the Earth to break apart itself from the floor to trap Obi-Wan's level, and then using the Force to jerk as many rocks down, apparently crushing him. But Obi-Wan, due to using the Force and all that stuff, ends up let's see, and also mention, let's see, going through all the things that he had done throughout his journey and all that stuff, and remembering Leia, and also maybe some stuff from the prequel trilogy, gains the strength to push back the Force thing, and begins to battle Vader again, and surprising him. Eventually, continuing to do, where eventually he's able to overpower him with perhaps the most impressive display of the Force that we've ever seen Obi-Wan do, as he holds quite a lot of rocks in a mini similar amount to, like, I guess you could argue Rey in the Last Jedi, if you will. And covers enough of the rocks to keep pushing Vader back until eventually he slices off, let's see, half his helmet on the left side.
I wonder where they got that inspiration from.
Yeah, let's see. Yes, it's clearly the reverse. It's clearly the same as like the Twilight of the Apprentice with the Ahsoka. Oh, let's see, Vader duel and all that stuff. Though, of course, on the other side of the head. So it's like
all I'm gonna say is, I called it.
Yeah.
I called it in the last game. Like, look, if we get the final fight and we don't get the mask coming off, I'll be pissed. So
yeah, we finally get to see that Obi-Wan for the first time sees the the burnt, scarred face of Darth Vader, of what happened since he left him to die on Mustafar. And during this course of the bit of the action, during the bit of the fight, as Obi-Wan sees what his fight has done to Anakin, apologizes, says he's sorry for what he's done, everything that's happened. However, Vader, of course, dismisses everything that he dismisses it and says that Anakin Skywalker, saying that Obi-Wan didn't kill Anakin Skywalker. He already has himself, and it's gone, and all he has left is Vader. And this is the point where Obi-Wan finally comes to the conclusion that his former Padawan, brother, best friend, if you will, is gone, dead, all that's left is Darth Vader, and leaves him as Vader ends up screaming in rage as he calls out to Obi-Wan, demanding he comes back here as he's going to destroy him and all that stuff, and raging him. But anyway, as Obi-Wan ends up back into his pod thing, he senses that Luke is in danger and flies as fast as he can to get there, if you will. Perhaps a bit too fast, but then again, let's see, the timing's a bit confusing. But he ends up arriving just outside the Lars homestead, calling out to them. Let's see, Luke, and here's like Owen and Beru calling out to Luke and all that stuff. Let's see, realizing that they're trying to search for him, Obi-Wan realizes where they might go onto this rocky cliff edge thing, where Reva at this point, I should probably mention doing this bit, Reva eventually catches up to Luke, uses the Force to crush him, and Luke is knocked out, and he is at her mercy. It looks like she's about to ready to strike her. However, as she sees him laying conscious there, she ends up getting flashbacks to her own past, and then starts to see Luke in himself, breaks down and realizes that she cannot do it. And then we see as she brings back Luke to Obi-Wan and Lars and Beru, that brings them in, and for a while they start to wonder if he's dead, but as they see him move a bit or breathe, they realize that he's alive as she gives them back to like Luke and Beru and all that stuff. And all that stuff as they leave to take care of Luke, while Reva comes down and cries to front of Obi-Wan and tells her how she can do it and asks him, have I become like Anakin and all that stuff? And Obi-Wan says no, and that she's managed to make a choice to do it. And I think that hold on, let me just get the let's see. Let's see, but showing that she's not veiled, stating she has brought peace and honor to like her by showing mercy to Luke. She has honored her fellow Jedi younglings who are regarded as her family and all that stuff, and tells her that she's now free to choose what she wants as she lays down her lightsaber and I assume possibly buries it in the sand, as that seems to be a common habit here on Tatooine.
I didn't leave you hanging, did I, Blue? Sorry, now my sister called.
Okay. Okay, I didn't notice.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, as let's see, Vader is left. Let's see, Obi-Wan and us assume Reva offensive that they're both free and they probably part terms, though we have no idea what happens to Reva afterwards. We end up cutting back to Mustafar in the castle, where it's revealed that Vader is communicating with like his master, saying how he's dispatched probe droids everywhere to find Obi-Wan, and they will not fail him and all that stuff. Though the Emperor kind of starts to notice that perhaps Vader's being his feelings for Obi-Wan is clouding his judgment and all that stuff, and all his feelings are being flirty. Feelings for Obi-Wan are getting in the way. However, Vader assures his master that his focus, his loyalty, and all that stuff remains nothing solely to him, as the Emperor preaches this and dismisses himself as Vader's left to ponder in his Jedi temple. I mean, in his castle. With then we then cut back to Alderaan as Leia's getting home, get up ready and all that stuff, dressing in a sort of like a white outfit she had before, I guess you could say. But this time with the holster. Her mother notices this but kind of likes it as they go to tells her they're going to greet someone. Leia thinking that it's another one of her stuck-up relatives, but instead it actually is Obi-Wan. I should probably forgot to mention Leia sneaked inside Lola with the droid as like a sort of, I guess, gift to have him to remind her of her and all that stuff. As he comes to bring back her droid back, as he can't part a droid from their friends and all that stuff. As Bail thanks Obi-Wan for his service, and Obi-Wan says that, let's see, if you ever need my help and all that stuff, call me, which Bail says hopefully that will never come. Of course, that will eventually, of course, happen. The events of of A New Hope, but yeah. But before Obi-Wan parts, he ends up finally telling Leia admits that he didn't tell her didn't tell her the truth entirely, but there's still some things that he cannot tell her. She at least tells her this, is that what qualities that she had from her mother, and that she's wise, discerning, and kind-hearted, and those are the qualities that Padme, her mother, had, though he didn't say her mother quite exactly. And also tells her that she's got some of the things that remind him of her father, which passionate, fearless, and forthright, and that that they were exceptional people and they had an exceptional daughter, if you will.
We obviously know what he's referring to, but
Yeah. She can always rely on him for help as well, but tells her not to make sure anyone knows that that she knows him and all that stuff, and to keep that promise as Obi-Wan ends up departing on the ship and all that stuff, saying goodbye, and arguably as Obi-Wan will not see Leia again until briefly in A New Hope, but not directly face to face, of course. But yeah, as Obi-Wan cuts back to Tatooine to visit Bail and all that stuff, but before also cleaning his cave up of all his parts and all that stuff to move on and all that stuff, if you will. With Owen curious, before heading to the Lazars, where Owen asks him what he's doing here, but Obi-Wan telling him to step that, you're right, Luke should be allowed to grow up and all that stuff, and that, as an ordinary boy, and that he should, and that Owen will remain his protector and all that stuff. With Owen vows to do so, and with Obi-Wan, I guess, also with the toy ship that he's now giving back again to Luke and all that stuff. But Owen allows Obi-Wan to meet Luke, as he finally comes up to meet Luke, probably for the first time, and says to him, "Hello there."
He didn't say it like that. He said like, "Hello there." I was like, "There it is."
Yep.
Blue was like, "I don't think they're gonna make a lot of prequel memes," and I'm like, "Well, nope." They waited till the last episode to give it. Well, let's be fair. He said that in A New Hope also, so it's not like it's just a prequel thing.
Yeah, but they just pretty much waited for the right time to say it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But yeah, see, and after meeting him and possibly giving like the toy ship back and all that stuff, as Obi-Wan is riding into like the desert and all that stuff.
Which, if you notice, that ship is the same one that Luke has in A New Hope. So
Yes, that's what I said. That's why I said toy ship. It's the same toy ship he got from Obi-Wan.
Yep. So Obi-Wan is confirmed best dad.
Well, probably best ritzy uncle figure.
Yeah. Godfather. There we go.
Yeah. But yeah. But as Obi-Wan is, riding on the things like some sort of like a desert in the canyon, Vegas Canyon and all that stuff, which I think might have been with where Obi-Wan meets Luke for the first time, I think, in A New Hope, I believe, unless that's the pod racing scene. I might be getting all mixed up in my Tatooine geography right now. He starts to see a ghostly figure, and it turns out to be none other than his master, Qui-Gon Jinn!
I have one thing to say. You ready for this, Blue?
Yes, that's what I mean.
Took you long enough.
Yeah, that's what Obi-Wan says, though. Qui-Gon says that he's always bored there, but you're not just quite ready to see him. As they two walk together and all that stuff, saying that how, as he says that it's ready for the next step of your training and all that stuff. As they still have some distance to travel, as the two continue their journey to the canyon, though Qui-Gon might be starting to fade a bit, as they walk down the canyon and all that stuff, ending the episode and possibly ending the miniseries that is Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Mm-hmm.
So, overall thoughts, Lucky Chi?
Overall thoughts. Well, the most important question I think we should all ask is, was Obi-Wan overhyped to a huge degree? I'll say this as a prequel fan, as someone who likes Obi-Wan, loves Anakin, maybe just a tad bit. It wasn't perfect. I'll say that. But I must still go back to what I say. Disney, you fucked up. And I say that because this should have been what we got from the start when Disney purchased Lucasfilm. I'm a die on that hill. This should have been the first thing we got.
Well, to be fair, let's see. Well, they wanted to do They wanted to do a sequel trilogy and bring back the original characters into that. That's what they wanted to do, which makes sense because that was always a big.
No.
Next
I get that. No, don't make no mistake. I get that. But in hindsight, now you're kind of like, maybe it would have been better to wait on the sequel trilogy instead of just jumping straight into that.
Possibly some of the anthology films that they end up doing might have probably benefited them to do in the context of there, but But then again, there's also the fact that Carrie Fisher did pass away just only like a few years into like the Disney purchase, so there was that factor as well.
Well, to be fair, when it comes to Carrie Fisher passing away, nobody expected that to happen. So
yeah. But yeah, now granted, I do believe that Obi-Wan the miniseries was originally supposed to be one of the anthology series, like the
movies,
a Star Wars story stuff. But
I actually think it would have been interesting if that's what the original plan was for it to be a movie. I actually would have been okay with that if we got that.
Yeah, I do think that, let's see, it probably would have cut out some of the padding, some of the fillerish bits, let's see, some of the scenes that probably didn't really need to matter too much, and to a much more tighter movie. And not to mention, definitely would have given a much bigger budget than what we got for the Kenobi show.
No. That's the thing, because as awesome as it was seeing Hayden, you could tell. You compare Attack of the Clones Hayden to this Hayden, it's like the age is there, but that's also because that's more so budget thing. That's more so on budget than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I didn't get a chance to share my thoughts on the fight between.
Yeah, just a sec. But yeah, but one thing I want to comment is probably due to the fact that Solo, of course, was a box office failure, that Disney cancelled all of their anthology series, which probably also means, as I think they're also planning to do a Boba Fett movie as well as Kenobi film. But since that happened, instead
I kind of wonder, since we got Book of Boba Fett, I wonder if the Book of Boba Fett was supposed to be the movie that we were going to get. That's what I'm thinking.
Possibly, or at least there's going to be some sort of movie, maybe even an origin movie, but or at least some of like Boba's early days, but that's not the case now. But yeah. But anyway, but go on what you were saying, Lakichi.
I'm gonna just say this final fight was spectacular.
Oh yeah.
Like, here's the thing. Here's the thing. And I told Blue this in the last stream. If we don't see that mask come off, I'm gonna be pissed. So the fact that it happened, I was like, oh my god. Like, it got me once. Here's the thing. I thought I got chills when I saw that scene in Rebels when he looked at Ahsoka. I wasn't terrified though. Here, I got chills, but I was terrified too. That's the thing. Like, I saw Anakin, like the half side of his face on from the left angle, and I was like, whew. That, I don't know if that happened with you, Blue, but now here's the thing. I also watched it at night, so that elevated the factor for me too. I was like, it's like, that's Anakin, all right, but Jesus Christ, the look he's giving off.
Yeah, I do like the facial expressions he does and all that stuff, but yeah.
I don't know if you noticed, but it looks like he kind of has like that sinister grin whenever they did like a super close-up shot on.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He had that. I did notice that when you see his eye initially, it's his normal eye, and then like when you see the red saber, it's like full on yellow.
Fair enough. But yeah, that was quite a bit. But yeah, I definitely think the choreography was much better handled there. Granted, I'm still not a fan of the shaky cams, but it wasn't as annoying as all that stuff. And I do kind of like how they angled it from like a map perspective. I guess that's the best way where you see a bit there.
That does make here's the weird thing though. I still go back to New Hope though because of this one comment Vader made. He said, "When I left you, I was but the learner, but now I'm the master."
Yeah,
and I thought we were gonna get that here. Now you could chalk that down to just Vader being cocky, but I kind of wonder, does that mean we're gonna get another confrontation before New Hope, or do you feel like this was it? Because when you when he makes that claim and you see this, is like, well, did he leave him? Because it's kind of the same thing that happened in Revenge of the Sith almost. Except the biggest difference here is that Obi Wan acknowledges him as Darth now, as opposed to
he just calls him Darth at the end of that stuff. I think this is supposed to be the last encounter before A New Hope. I don't think they'll do anything more unless, granted, I think if they try and do it in the second series, I think it'll lose more momentum each time and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, part of me is wondering, because I heard rumors they're going to try and do it, there might be in like a second season, is that they might have cut out this fight and decide, like, you know what, let's save this fight for like season 2 and all that stuff, which It's just like you hype this up for like when the entire confrontation at the end of the series, and you don't do that. Instead, you save it for another season just because the show's become so popular. They want to make more episodes, which clearly wasn't the case. But yeah, but in many ways, Obi-Wan does, in a sense, school Anakin here and all that stuff.
Yeah, but do you feel? But like, what's your take on like the quote Vader made a New Hope, where
I think that's. Let's see. I think it still applies even to this confrontation.
you think so?
Yes.
Because I have seen a lot of people making that claim. Like, I'm like, is he just being cocky or what? What's he doing? Because I'm kind of mixed on it. Like, I get like, it's nice seeing the confrontation, but when you're applying it to that claim, it's like, you know.
Well, it could just be like, well, it could be more like a time of a New Hope. Let's see. While Vader is still technically a Sith apprentice, he has finally become like a full-on Sith Lord, if you will.
That's true.
It might be that. Let's see. It might be a bit vague, but I think pretty much. Let's see. I'm pretty certain Vader thinks that he's now, let's see, that Obi-Wan, by this point in the New Hope, that he is now too weak to defeat him, and now he's the one that is the strongest. So it's like, now I am the master, if you will. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm probably going to have to assume. I think
that would make sense when you're looking at it from that viewpoint. I'll say.
I mean, it's kind of similar to how Obi-Wan, let's see, when Obi-Wan and Darth Maul met each other again after so many years, where like, he goes like, look what you've become. And he goes like, look what I've risen above.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think it's a sort of similar, let's see, thing to that.
Uh-huh.
At least that's what I'm guessing, but yeah.
But what I want to add is that, here's the thing. We've always seen Hayden portray Anakin, but seeing him like fully portray Vader in this moment,
yeah,
it speaks volumes.
Oh yeah, it was pretty good. Granted, I'm not. It's so good that I wanted more of it, and I think I've seen some people complain that we should have done more of this and all that stuff. Let's see, but yeah,
I'll say this: if we look, I don't need a Obi-Wan season 2. I know some people say it would be cool to see it. I don't think we need it. What I would rather have is a Vader spinoff show that takes place after this. That's what I would have.
That is what many people I've often talked to would probably wish they want to see. Maybe if they do that, or at least 2 separate spinoffs where they're just like blah blah blah, with one with Obi-Wan, one with Darth Vader, and all that stuff. But yeah, but I wouldn't be. But yeah. If Disney wants to do like a Darth Vader spin-off TV show or even movie with Hayden Christensen, yeah, I'm for it.
Yep.
And yeah, and
there's a lot more you could explore too, because
and it will probably make $1 billion at the box office if they make it into a movie.
You know, right? Because here's the thing: like, okay, yes, technically in the comics we did cover him transitioning from the end of episode 3 where he's thinking about Padme to. I mean, this is still technically a transition for Vader, so it's like, yeah, he's Vader, but there is still Anakin here.
Yeah, and I think that could also add tribute to the line from New Hope as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and I must admit, I do like how they display the Force powers a bit. Though, granted, I'm not, like I said, it might be going a bit OP a bit. Who knows? It might be the Marvel effect on Disney, possibly. But I do think it was.
Could you imagine if they did another special editions of A New Hope and you have like Alec Guinness saying, "You should have seen what I did 9 years ago."
Possibly, but yeah. It would be interesting if, let's see, but yeah.
It'd be actually pretty funny, actually.
Yeah. Now, granted, you have Star Wars fans moaning and complaining like, they changed it! Ruined my childhood! Like they do with every special edition. Well,
here's the thing, though. Now, imagine this. They're never going to do special editions for the prequel trilogy. Or not prequel trilogy, for the sequel trilogy. But could you imagine they do it and it actually improves the sequel trilogy? People are like, the special edition saved. And it's like, weren't y'all complaining about the original trilogy when all these changes were happening? What are we doing?
Who knows? Let's see. Granted, that'd probably require a bit of editing, but I'm pretty certain Star Wars fans have made up their minds about the sequel trilogy, regardless of what they change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But anyway, where was I?
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
But yeah, the Force display. I will admit, is it a bit over the top? Probably, given the original 6 films. Yeah.
I mean, but people were saying the same thing about the prequel trilogy too. I mean, it's more so. It's like what you said. It comes with the times. When you get further and further into effects, you kind of have to make it a little bit grandiose with that.
Yeah. I will admit, yes. Let's see. Yeah, lightsabers were much more quicker and intense during the prequel era.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, I guess this could also be the fact that perhaps that this Force display was much more impressive than. I suppose you could than anything that Yoda did in the prequel trilogy, because there was a few bits of Force display that Yoda had against the Emperor and all that stuff, and Count Dooku. Though still, I will admit, it was at least cool to finally see Obi-Wan use, that strong a power of the Force, I guess. Particularly to push Vader back. I do like how he ends up saying, I am sorry to, Anakin. It's like, given the fact that he's come to, as he comes to accept that, what happened to him was probably my fault, and you are probably in the suit the way you are. But at this point, Anakin is too far gone. He only sees himself as Vader, and he declares himself as that. And this is clear.
Dude, I got massive chills when he said that. And the second he said, "Anakin's gone, I'm what remains," I was like,
yeah. And this is clearly the bit where Obi-Wan finally had given up on Anakin Skywalker. At this point, when he tells Luke about that, he's more machine than man and all that stuff. And in many ways, it goes to a certain point of view. It's like, when I said your father was dead, what I said was true from a certain point of view.
So Obi-Wan's a dick? Confirmed?
Well, to be fair, even Vader thinks that Anakin Skywalker is now dead.
That's true.
So,
I mean, here's the thing. Some people would probably question that, but if you do read the comics, which I know it's like, oh, you gotta run. Some people might be, oh, you gotta run out supplementary material just to get that bit. But there is a part in the comics for Vader, the canon comics, I should say now, where Vader has that vision where he confronts Anakin, and then
he kills him.
Yeah. So, metaphorically speaking, it's like he's not wrong in saying he got rid of him.
Yeah, no, whether or not you don't really need to see the comics, but you can clearly see that in Vader's eyes, Anakin Skywalker's dead. He is all that remains.
Yeah, or at least that's what he wants to claim, because we know years later, the same thing happens with Ahsoka too. So it's not to say Anakin's gone completely. You in a way, you could equate it to a split personality, where after after he became one with the dark side, there's like two halves of Anakin now. There's Anakin, and then there's Vader, and Vader's the one that's been taking the front seat, if you will. Actually, and here's an interesting thing I noticed from people. People say when you get to Mustafar, Anakin's no longer Anakin, he's Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Would you think that's true? Or do you think he doesn't become Vader until after he gets burned?
I'd say he doesn't become Vader until he fully has a suit on him.
Okay.
Let's see. The burning bit is Anakin slowly dying, with him being reborn as Darth Vader in the suit thing.
Yeah, that's kind of how I took it too.
But yeah, that's how I take it. So yeah. So let's see, anything else to talk about with the Vader and Obi-Wan bit, or have we said everything on that regard?
I mean, what's your take on it?
Let's see this fight. Yeah. In terms of this fight, I don't think it's as good as the episode 3 fight, but I think it's a very close second.
I'd say so.
In the 5 skirmishes that we now have of Anakin / Darth Vader versus Obi-Wan. Since you have the one in New Hope, you have Revenge of the Sith, and you have, let's see, the one in the 3rd episode of Kenobi, the flashback in episode 5, and now here in episode 6. So yeah, there's that. But yeah, but I wouldn't be surprised if some people would put this lightsaber fight as their favorite and all that stuff.
I was this close to considering it. I was like, this could be the best fight, and then I was like, I don't know. I still feel like the Mustafar one, super kind of, is a tad bit better, but you know, here's the weird thing. I actually, since they were gonna do this final fight, right? I actually had the weirdest suspicion that they were gonna go back to Mustafar. That's what I thought.
Okay.
That's what I assumed we were gonna go back there, but you know.
Well,
I do like the fact that they're fighting somewhere else.
I think that would have been too much of a nostalgia bait and all that stuff. It's like pandering and all that stuff.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, so I think it was fine here, and allowed them to both display incredible feats of the Force as well. Like Vader causing a quake and Obi-Wan hurling a bunch of rocks to hurt Vader. So anyway, the stuff with Reva, let's see, on Tatooine.
I'll say this: the stuff with Reva, in my opinion, was kind of the weak point of the episode. I feel.
Yeah. I mean, especially the beginning where let's see, she shows up out of nowhere on Tatooine. It's like, how did she get there so fast? Let's see, like, how did she find the ship to get there to Tatooine? Which is probably another thing that probably nitpicks this episode is the fact that the speed in which people go to one planet to the next. Let's see. Probably to get the story going along and all that stuff, but yeah. But it's like let's see. Granted, I do like how she's deduced that. Let's see, the farmer she met earlier is in fact the one that's holding that has the boy that Bail Gorman mentioned earlier, and she's clearly after Luke because it's like she's deduced that this is Vader's son or something, or at least someone that's particularly close to Vader, I think. And that by killing him, you'll get revenge on what Vader did if she cannot do it with like direct confrontation, if you will. Since Vader easily bested her, you can try and hurt him emotionally like this. However, I will admit, I think this episode did quite. I will say the Reva stuff. It showed quite an impressive display of both Owen and Beru, I think. 2 characters who don't really get much, screen time and barely said any lines in either, A New Hope and I guess Attack of the Clones. Well, particularly the prequel actors. I think Beru only said hello to Anakin Skywalker.
Although it does make me wonder where the gun disappeared off, because that was in there in A New Hope. So it's kind of like,
remember they had the guns hidden. Remember,
that's true.
That does make me wonder. Instead of perhaps,
I mean, like I said, it's very nitpicky territory when you point stuff out like that.
But that does now make me wonder if perhaps the burnings of the aunt and uncle, wasn't as easily done as everyone thought from A New Hope, and that there was perhaps maybe a blaster fight between the 2 Larses and the stormtroopers that came, and possibly Boba Fett. I mean,
it could be because, well, like I said, by the time Luke gets back, they're like gone. So something happened.
Yeah. But it seemed, but I think it's like they're very capable of defending themselves and all that stuff. And I like how Bruce says this is our home and all that stuff. But I think it does make sense that, since they're farmers on Tatooine, not to mention the fact that there are Tusken Raiders out there, or you'd see Sand People, if you will, who tend to attack what they regard as outsiders, anyone that walks into their desert. And not to mention this happened to Owen's stepmother, Shima and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense that they would be prepared to defend themselves and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I think my favorite line, from this bit and all that stuff, with Burr and all that stuff, is how Owen says that Luke is pretty much good as his son and all that stuff. It's like, it goes to show you someone's Star Wars has been a bit about fatherhood, and it goes to show you that, yes.
Well, with the exception of the sequel trilogy. But that's...
But yeah.
It's about fatherhood. Could have been about that with the sequel trilogy, too.
Alright, but we're not going there.
Hey. I'm just saying, if you think my take's bad, if James was here, it would be a whole other story.
Yeah, well, I have no idea if he's watched Kenobi, so I never really asked him.
No. I'm talking about his take on the sequel trilogy.
Okay.
His view would have been much worse than what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
You know it to be true, Blue.
But yes, I do like how, and I do like, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
As says that Luke is his son and all that stuff, and it does show, because one of the deaths, one of the minor characters, sometimes I think maybe, the two losses did have such an impact on Luke, and when he lost them, he was then finally ready to go on his journey and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, even though this is probably from the Darth Vader comics, Dr. Alpha does comment that revenge is a hell of a motivation.
That is true.
That's given the fact that, yeah. So there's that bit. Now, Reva's redemption. Do you think it works, or do you think it's poorly rushed or something?
I think it would have been. I think it would have been better if she lost her life. Personally,
you think it would have been better if that she ended up losing her life as Obi-Wan saved her and all that stuff, right? As Obi-Wan saved Luke.
Yeah, I think that would have made more sense. And I say that because her being alive, especially when you're considering the timeline of the original trilogy, it's like, well, what's she doing after this?
Well, we do know that there are other Jedi survivors and all that stuff besides Luke, despite Yoda saying that he's the last of the Jedi. But then again, yeah.
But here's the thing: I know people like to bring up Ahsoka, but the thing about Ahsoka is that by the time you get to Rebel, she doesn't identify herself as a Jedi. That's the thing. So,
yeah. And then not to mention, there's going to be Urza. That's probably also a Jedi. But and there's also I guess
Ezra's still MIA right now. So
and there's Grogu, but I'll get to that in a bit. But now, whether or not how far Reva is alive in the timeline in the future remains to be seen. But I have heard rumors.
No, you know what would have been crazy? You see her walk away, right? And then Thrawn shows up.
I'm sorry, what?
I said, imagine she walks away, right?
Yeah.
And then Thrawn shows up.
Thrawn?
Mm-hmm.
What, Thrawn on Tatooine?
Maybe. He does something.
The problem with that is then Thrawn will know about Luke Skywalker and all that stuff, and there's no way he's going to keep that quiet.
Well, okay, yeah, there's that too. Never mind. Forget my headcanon about Thrawn doing
I do like how Luke just managed to now avoid seeing a lightsaber with those smoke.
That is see, that's the weird thing. It's like he's never seen a lightsaber, but this here's well, yeah.
Well, he
Kinda.
just missed it. Let's see. He climbed up the ladder just as Reva came in to, thing. Which I will admit, I did like seeing more of the Lars homestead. I will admit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Luke just mentioned it. It's like one of those little coincidences, like things where Anakin and Grievous have been on the same battlefield a few things, but they just miss each other because they're not supposed to meet into Revenge of the Sith. It's just one of those Star Wars moments.
But here's the thing: in Clone Wars, they at least make it work. That's the thing.
I think it still works here.
Yeah.
But yeah, now granted. Now, as for why Reva's probably been still alive, it's possible that she was originally supposed to die, but I do heard rumors they've changed some things to do a second season thing. But
okay, unless we get like a Reva spinoff show, wait, okay.
But that's
I wouldn't be that opposed to the idea of having a spinoff show on her. If her surviving means we kind of get a spinoff show of her and get her adventures, I mean, that could explain something like as to what happened.
Yeah,
later on.
I have heard rumors that that might be what Disney is planning to do and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And now, granted,
my thing is, would you be up for it?
I'm not sure if Reva as a character by herself would work because, well, granted, I will say this: the actress has received some very horrible abuse. Let's see, from certain Star Wars fans.
It's the same thing that happened with John Boyega, and I was just like, really, guys? Like, what the hell?
Yeah, it's like, and now and people saying like, no, let's see, Disney's not. It's not Disney calling everyone that does not like her character a racist and all that stuff. No, it's more of just like, there are clearly fans that are attacking her from that statement, and not to mention the statement that Disney put out. It wasn't saying that if you don't like our story or material, you're a racist. It's saying that they were saying that. Let's see, any of those attacks do not belong in the Star Wars community and all that stuff, and how, Star Wars should be for everyone and all that stuff.
It's true.
It wasn't like, they weren't saying, if you hate this show, you're a racist. And if that's how you interpret that, I think you need to sit back and think for a moment and all that stuff. But yeah.
I would just say, just go out, get some coffee, talk to some people, and then just come back and rethink everything.
Yeah. And arguably, perhaps maybe not, and maybe unarguably not like ultra far right conservatives or KKK or something like, a KKK and all that stuff. Let's see. Do not talk to those people. Let's see, just talk to them.
No, Blue, you're talking about the wrong KKK group. I'm referring to the Kiss 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 group.
I'm not sure if that is politically incorrect and get us in trouble, but but seriously, don't talk to like extremist groups about this issue. Just like, if you're going to talk to people about, just generally normal people and all that stuff, right?
Exhibit A, Blue Star. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, like, don't take but pretty much don't listen to the more extreme views. Let's see, go outside, have a think, and just put yourself in like the shoes of like other people and all that stuff.
Definitely.
If they got like this abuse.
Yeah.
But that said, I will admit her character.
I would say overall, I feel like her it's not a bad character, but I do feel like her character is kind of like the weak link of the show, I would say.
Yeah, it feels like it could have been better executed.
Yeah.
Let's see. Now, granted, I don't think that I believe the rumors like, this character it's all about Reva, not Obi Wan Kenobi.
No, the show is still about Obi Wan.
It's been primarily focused on Obi Wan, and yes, sometimes Reva has been a bit of the spotlight in many ways. She's one of the, besides Vader, she's one of the two main antagonists and all that stuff.
I would say, like, if you ask me, I feel like the most spotlight we got on Reva was probably episode 4.
Yeah. But yeah, the main focus in this was like Anakin and Darth Vader.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, and all that stuff. But yeah. Now, I will admit, yes, the other Inquisitors didn't really amount to much, even the Grand Inquisitor, and the fifth brother and fourth sister ended up disappearing after the 4th episode. I'm not sure what happened to them. Let's see. I expected at least the fourth sister to end up dying because she's like a new Inquisitor thing, but yeah. But yeah, now granted, if they are doing a spin-off of the third sister, I guess you could end up having some of those Inquisitors again, and maybe even a skirmish between the fight between the third and fourth sister, but who knows?
That could happen.
But yeah, now granted, I think I'd rather have a spin-off show just mostly about Inquisitors in general, really. But I wouldn't be surprised.
Nah, here's the thing. If we get a spin-off show on the Grand Inquisitor before the time of Rebels, that's a show I would probably watch too. Is see
But yeah,
him going from there to where he ended up in Rebels.
But I think it'll mostly just be either on the third sister or just Inquisitors in general.
Yep.
If there was a spin-off, but yeah.
I mean, they are doing that other show. What's it? Acolytes or whatever? Isn't that going to focus on like the villains or whatnot? I think.
But yeah.
I think Great Blue Like, isn't there going to be a spin-off show that they're going to do that's going to be like villain based or?
I think you're talking about a new Star Wars TV show called Acolyte, which is set.
Yeah, that one.
50 or 100 years before the events of the Phantom Menace, I believe.
Yeah, that's the one I'm referring to.
That's what's gonna. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's probably what you're referring to.
I kind of wonder if that's good. See, here's the thing. I feel like they're going to use that as a testing ground to see what it's like to have the villains as a focus.
My understanding, it'll be the end of the High Republic. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they're going to use that as a testing ground. But yeah.
Because, and I'm just going to, I'm theory crafting here. That could be what also leads us to getting a Vader spinoff show down the line. Could be.
Possibly, yes. Or even a Darth Vader actually has 6 movies about him. So,
if we're going to be that, not nitpicky. If we're going to be that thorough about it, yeah, you could say the 6 movies are about.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah. No, yeah. Reva, let's see. Now the character journey itself, I don't think is bad. Now whether or not Reva deserved to like be redeemed at the end remains to be seen. But granted, because after all, what happened to Vader in the end of his redemption, if you will, is that it was a redemption by death. So let's see, because
it's like this weird story. I don't know. I feel like it's a Star Wars thing. It's like, at the very end, villains got to be redeemed. Look, Vader was a one-time thing. It made sense for Vader. But to have it with Reva and especially with Kylo, Kylo's still the weird one, I would say. His redemption's still kind of weird.
Mm-hmm. Let's see, well, with Darth Vader's, at least, the very least, is that he dies at the end. So it's like, you don't have to deal with the, consequences of, because of all the terrible things that Darth Vader did and all that stuff.
Well, okay, and I know sequel trilogy fans are going to argue, well, Kylo Ren dies at the end. I'm like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, but you're kind of just repeating what happened to Vader then.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say this. If Kylo Ren was going to die, don't let him be redeemed. That's what I would have rather done.
Well, that's what they're going to do with, like, I think,
College of Horror script, yeah.
Yeah, the Dark Duel of Fates thing, but that ended up not being the case, but yeah.
No, I can't blame that on Disney. That's on. It's more so Kathleen Kennedy and her decisions,
But yeah, no, I mean, yes, Reva. Let's see. Yeah, I will admit, a performance has been a hit and miss for me, and all that stuff. Now, not saying that the actress is a bad actress. I'm told she's really good in other stuff. I'm just more here. It's a bit of a hit and miss, and like I said earlier, if you're going to criticize a character, do not make it, about her as a person or the color of her skin and all that stuff. Don't be, Yeah, I should have made it more simpler like that earlier. I hope none of my words taken out of context, but anyway. But yeah, it was definitely a weak point, but I will admit, it did allow us, I guess, to say Brew and Owen for quite a bit and all that stuff, and even Lucas for an extent. Now I do like the ending scenes between her and Obi Wan Kenobi, where she questions if she is like Anakin, and Obi Wan tells her that she's not, and that she has managed to honor her, fellow younglings by doing by sparing the life of Luke and not succumbing to like what Vader did to like her and her younglings and all that stuff. Though granted, we have no idea if that Revo did that with other younglings, and she nearly did that with Leia to the extent, really. Lucky Chi there.
I'm still here.
Okay, just checking, but yeah. So there's that bit there. Anyway, that's all we got said to Revo stuff. Let's just conclude with some of the other stuff. Vader and Palpatine. I was not expecting Palpatine, I will be honest.
I kind of did.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's nice to see Ian McDermott. It's always nice to see Ian McDermott as Palpatine, even if it's just for like one brief scene.
I mean, look. After the disservice they gave him in Rise of Skywalker, this is a pretty good note.
Yeah. I do like how he is trying to prevent Vader, like Obi-Wan, like Vader to not have his feelings cloud his judgment towards Obi-Wan, and which affirms Vader.
I mean, this you could say that this would kind of be where Anakin fully transitions into Vader, but I don't know. I still feel like there's more stories you could tell with Vader after this.
Yeah. Now, granted, we do know that from Rebels, that Vader is still interested in finding Kenobi, and
Rebels is 5 years before A New Hope, right? Or is that a little bit before that?
4 years.
4 years, okay.
Yeah, I think it's 4 years.
I want to double check on the timeline because I think you're right about that.
So yeah, so I'd like that bit, and I think it was a nice performance, and I definitely say the castle effects were much better, which I must admit, I do think the Star Destroyer's effects were very impressive in the beginning of the episode.
Okay, so according to this, Blue, Rebels is 14 years after Revenge of the Sith. So this would be just 4 years before that.
Okay.
I think, because Luke's like, what, 19, right?
19.
New Hope starts? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so I know some people complain about the timeline, about how people forgot the Jedi so easy and all that stuff, but then again, remember, Luke wasn't that, it was always going to be 19 years because of how old Luke was and all that stuff. But anyway.
Here's the weird thing, though. So we see how Obi-Wan is right now, right?
Yeah.
So how does he go from that to Alec Guinness in
9 years?
I'm just saying that's.
Well, I think the sun's finally started to take a bit of an effect on him. I think. And you kind of starting to see the signs around Ewan McGregor. Remember?
Yeah. It's probably just one of those things where Obi-Wan was like, you know what, I'm gonna just sunbathe for a while. Yeah, probably too much sunbathing. That sunbathing really cost you hair too.
Let's see, but anyway, but yes.
Blue over here is laughing in the corner now because he knows I'm right.
I'm not going. No, I just want to get back to like
No, I know.
The Star Destroyer. I thought the effects of the Star Destroyer were quite impressive. It felt much more like movie quality, I think.
Did it? Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, Luke and Leia stuff. I mean, Obi-Wan and Leia. Let's see. I do like how Obi-Wan is wanting to like sacrifice himself as the Jedi kind of thing and all that stuff, and all the other people that don't want him to go, particularly I think it was a Roken. Let's see, Haji and Leia. Leia becomes extremely upset about it. It's like, you promised to get me to Alderaan, but Obi-Wan with like Haji's trust, and he trusts him to like get Leia to like Alderaan, is able to convince her to do so, and you have like a nice touching goodbye moment and all that stuff. But of course, the main bit is like, I do like how Leia sneaks like Lola into Obi-Wan as a way of trying to like, for luck, or to try and have a reason to come back to him and all that, come back to her and all that stuff.
I kind of have to wonder what happens to Lola, because But again, if we're going by timeline wise, she's not there when, or I don't know what gender you.
If I had to guess, Lola
Probably
was
no.
left behind on Alderaan and was destroyed.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's what happened too.
That's probably That's probably the case.
Yeah.
But yeah. Let's see what else. But yeah. I do like the parting Obi-Wan also has with like Harjin and the others and all that stuff. But yeah, they'll probably escape. And I kind of do like how Leia appears to be talking to a kid called Koran, which may or may not be Koran Horn from like Legends. That still remains to be ambiguous. Let's see, because you know who Koran Horn is, right?
Yeah.
But who knows? But yeah. But the main part is, of course, Leia's reunion. But I like the bit where Obi-Wan leaves her with with like a Tala's gun blasting thing because Leia was like curious about it, and she ends up wearing it when she meets him again and all that stuff. And I do like how the mother seems to be accepting of this bit side of Leia at this point. But I do like how, when Obi-Wan finally says his final goodbye to Leia, and saying goodbye to like Balin about how you can always call me if you need me and all that stuff. I like the fact that Obi-Wan tells Leia that, while he can't tell her everything, does tell her enough details about a little bit about both her parents, how she's got the kind, compassionate side to Padme Amidala, her mother. Also got the headstrong and passionate side of her father, Anakin, and all that stuff.
It's a shame we didn't get that once again in the sequels.
And let's see, and and that they were both extraordinary people. Granted, that would be quite. No, granted, we also get the confirmation that the reason why Leia never brought up how she personally knew Obi-Wan is because Obi-Wan told her to keep quiet about their knowing each other. Though I'm fairly certain that if Obi-Wan, now granted, George probably made it so that Leia never actually met Obi-Wan, but I'm pretty certain that if Obi-Wan did survive the encounter in A New Hope and Leia saw her, though granted, I do think she recognized the name Ben Kenobi from when Luke said it because of this adventure, of course. Like I mentioned in the first review we did.
Yep.
I'm pretty certain they would probably have a nice old meeting and all that stuff. Let's see. Now, granted, Leia would probably start to question Obi-Wan as like, so you've been stuck on this planet, looking after this young man and all that stuff. Now, I'm not sure if now, given the fact that Leia knew she's adopted, that at this point in time, if like Obi-Wan and Bail had like survived the events of New Hope, they would have told her that she's, that Luke is actually her brother, which probably would have avoided the infamous kiss in Empire Strikes Back.
Makes you wonder if Lucas actually had that fully planned out. Like they kissed, but their brothers was like, oh. How do you get around that?
Well, to be fair, I think it's because Leia was not initially supposed to be Luke's sister. I mean,
there's that too.
There are some hints that why that she could have been and all that stuff, given the fact that she sensed Luke was in danger at the end of like the fight against Vader, but
that's the closest thing that you got is that,
yeah. But I think it's because due to the fact that let's see, when George wanted to make more movies and all that stuff, the Directors Guild kicked him out and he couldn't use any of the directors to make the films he wanted. So he decided to wrap it up with Return of the Jedi, and not to mention his own personal life had went to hell at this point.
Yeah.
And by the end of and I think midway or by the end of the time the film came out, he had divorced his wife. Which is a shame, really, but it's a shame that all that stuff affected the movies. But I still think Return of the Jedi is solid and all that stuff. I still like this conversation with Obi-Wan and Leia and all that stuff, and I think it was like a nice touch off and send off and all that stuff. Though, granted, due to the fact that Carrie Fisher's sadly now dead, I think Disney.
I think she would have loved young Leia. if she got to see it.
Yeah, I definitely think that she would have approved and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think Disney would be a bit reluctant to use a live-action Leia and all that stuff.
At least for now.
Yeah. But yeah, no, granted, they might try and use her daughter again and, CGI and do the deep.
Well, then again, they used Tarkin in Rogue One, so you never know what they could do.
So, let's see. Well, granted, for some people, Carrie Fisher might be too soon. That's the only thing they have to worry about. No, granted, if they do end up bringing Leia to live action again, I'm hoping that, depending on where they show in the timeline.
I could see them probably. I don't know if you ever read the Princess of Alderaan book, but they could probably mess around with that time frame.
Who knows? But yeah, but I'm probably but if they do post Jedi stuff, I would love to have Leia and Luke talk about the time she met Obi-Wan and her coming to terms of who Anakin Skywalker is. Though who knows? Maybe we'll get some of that in the Ahsoka series, but who knows? We'll have to wait and see.
There's so much I think we could have gotten.
Because one of the most interesting things about Legends was after the whole Vader reveal of Leia Skywalker reveal and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
She's always struggled with the legacy of her father and all that stuff. And she
and it's interesting that we don't. Okay, I know one of the books tackles that. One of the canon books tackles us now. I forgot which one, but
Tatooine's Ghost. I think you.
No, not the Legends one. I'm referring to the canon books. It's one of the canon books, but
I believe Bloodline. I heard is the thing.
Yeah, Bloodline was the one.
I've got the book, but I've yet to read it.
Yeah, I haven't read it either, but I've heard that's where that gets tackled. Apparently.
Yeah. Granted, I am not sure if the continuity is up to date and all that stuff because there was some problem. I'm not sure if it matches the continuity of the later films, but I guess that's what happens when you write spin-off books in the middle of an ongoing trilogy. It's not fully planned out.
I guess that's the one fortunate thing about the original trilogy is that at the very least, the trilogy was already done by the time you started getting the books. So there's that. Yeah. Well, I mean, that depends. Did the books come out in between the prequels also, or was that afterwards? I remember.
Some of the books came out during the time of the prequels, but some of them, like The Labyrinth of Evil, had some input things from George Lucas himself when the author asked some details and all that stuff.
Gotcha. Labyrinth of Evil was a pretty good book, from what I remember.
Yes, I believe that Revenge of the Sith novel and a Darth Vader novel is regarded as its own loose Darth Vader trilogy, if you will.
Yeah, which, okay, I gotta ask. So, the Rise of the Dark Lord, when it comes to the final fight between Obi-Wan and Vader, or this one? What's your picking out of the two? Because I know a lot of people like to regard the fight that Vader and Obi-Wan had in that book. But now that you have this...
I don't recall. I've never read the book with the Rise of the Dark Lord, and I don't know, and I'm not sure, and I don't recall that Vader actually fought Obi-Wan in that book. I never knew that. Did they fight in that book?
I think they did. Let me double check.
I don't think they did, because from my understanding, he went to Kashyyyk to battle this Jedi, I think. I do know that Obi-Wan learned that Darth Vader was still alive in the book, but I think it was more of a news thing. So I don't think they actually fought there, Lucky Chi.
Okay. I'm trying to... It's just been a while since I've read it.
Yeah. Anyway, now to finally get to the last few bits and thoughts, let's see, the bits with Owen and Obi-Wan, where let's see, the two have come to a sort of mutual standing where Obi-Wan that's okay, you're right, Luke needs to be raised as a simple boy and all that stuff. And Owen does allow Obi-Wan to at least meet Luke one time and at least meet Luke and all that stuff. Though granted, you can still tell by New Hope that he still doesn't want Luke to be a Jedi and all that stuff. So it's there's at least, let's see, given the events, Owen will allow Obi-Wan to at least know Luke, but it doesn't want, let's see, Obi-Wan to get too involved with Luke. But I do like that we've finally got on the line, hello there. And I do like how Obi-Wan is now looking more like wearing the Jedi robes of what he was like in New Hope. Because in the beginning, he was all scruffy and all that stuff. He was in a cave, wasn't living too much of a fulfilled life. But
You could argue he lived not the same way Luke was in the sequel trilogy, but you could kind of mirror to that.
But it's ready to move on to like there's the actual house bit, the hut bit in like a New Hope. And but yes, and we finally get to see Force Ghost Qui-Gon in live action.
Again, took you long enough.
Now, we would have gotten it in a Revenge of the Sith, but I think Liam knows someone's in a bike accident or something.
Yeah.
So that prevented us from seeing the Force Ghost there, which is a shame because, let's see, we would have seen it and it would have been cool, but then interesting enough, then eventually we got Force Ghost Qui-Gon in Mortress trilogy, in which the place was strong enough to allow him to become a Force Ghost there. And then in the Yoda arc in season 6, Qui-Gon revealed that due to the training, they never really got to complete the training to become a Force Ghost, but with his guidance to Yoda, he will teach him to do it and all that stuff. But given the fact that Star Wars fans have waited a long time, we finally got Qui-Gon's voice thing. Now, granted, the only other time we've heard Qui-Gon was in like The Rise of Skywalker with all the other Jedi. But here he's ready to now train, finally meet with Obi-Wan and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so it was good to see. Now, I have heard some complaints about how you finally bring Qui-Gon back, but you never have him state his thoughts about what happened to Anakin and all that stuff, or how he feels about Obi-Wan in that situation.
Maybe I was gonna say maybe that could be explored. I could see. Okay, I know I've said I don't need a Obi-Wan season 2. You could do a novel that goes into that. I know some people are gonna be like, again with the novels, but
I think instead of maybe a season 2, they do a sort of TV special or something where you have Qui-Gon.
That could actually work. I could see a TV special.
I think that maybe have Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. Train Qui-Gon and his Force Ghost train Obi-Wan and all that stuff. Maybe some sort of adventure on Tatooine. And by then, Obi-Wan has completed his training. Maybe even some flashback bits. But yeah. Of course, this isn't the last we've seen of Liam Neeson, as he's going to be voicing Qui-Gon in the new Tales of the Jedi animated miniseries. Followed by, Count Dooku sections.
Mm-hmm.
As we learn the young years of Count Dooku, which probably the reason why it's not going to be done in live action is because, of course, Liam Neeson is now, Christopher Lee has sadly passed away.
Yeah.
And it might be a bit difficult to do the deep fake thing, but who knows? They might do it eventually. But yeah. It's nice to see Qui-Gon. Granted, I do know that some people, I remember one person reviewed who had a very negative look on Kenobi, think like, okay, why didn't they just see one thing they could have done with Qui-Gon is have the Force Ghost of Qui-Gon interact with Anakin, though I think to be fair, I suppose, now I'm thinking about it, Darth Vader would probably not know about this ability yet, so afterwards
that's the thing, yeah.
So it gets confused, though. He probably might just imagine it and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, it was nice to see Qui-Gon again, and it's nice that this. And let's see, I'm glad that Disney actually showed it because we were teased about it in the beginning. And it comes in here in the end. Though, granted, perhaps maybe at the very least you could have heard Qui-Gon's voice a bit more throughout the show, but otherwise that was it and all that stuff. So overall, before we get to overall score, is there anything else you want to talk about?
I think we pretty much tackled everything. I feel like we did.
I think we made it clear what we feel about spin-offs and sequels and all that stuff to this.
Yeah.
And all that stuff.
And what we would like to see in the future too.
The only thing I could probably say is, I probably might have mentioned this earlier, is that perhaps the Obi-Wan and Anakin adventures between episode 1 and 2 for the Attack of the Clones.
That would be cool.
Yeah. see their early Jedi training, their friendship, and all that stuff. And in a sense, you could also show the rise of the Separatist crisis. And in many ways, it could also be a good way to bring in Samuel L. Jackson as Mace Windu again, because he really wants to come back as Mace Windu.
I have seen that. No, honestly, and the thing is, kind of like with the Obi-Wan and Layla dynamic, you could kind of get a see. Well, and here's the thing: it's not just like 19-year-old Anakin. This is like still like Anakin when he was still like a child. So
Or like
it would be interesting to see that dynamic play out. You know, from where Obi-Wan was at the end of Phantom Menace to where ultimately where they go at the end of or at the beginning of Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, and if you do it for a couple of years between, let's see, just a few years before Attack of the Clones, you can do more than one season and all that stuff. So
yeah,
so you could do it like for a while at least.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and you can do it like that. That's my only type of thing. That's probably ideally what I'd want for an Obi-Wan and Anakin, more Ritzy, more of Ian and Hayes and Christensen. I think that works. More post this, well, I'm a bit iffy.
Yeah.
See a Darth Vader spin-off, maybe. Let's see. I'm not sure if let's see how you could get more Ian McGregor post this, but
I mean, here's the thing. Here's the thing. We know Hayden's not done because he is going to be in the Ahsoka series.
Yeah.
So, which I'm curious. My curiosity is going to be how often is he going to actually show up at that show? Because we know Ahsoka was his apprentice, so it makes me wonder how often. Because if you think about Obi-Wan and Luke, like even when Obi-Wan was a Force ghost, it's not like we saw Obi-Wan that often after he died. You know?
Yeah, and I guess they could try and make Ian McGregor come back as a Force ghost as Obi-Wan, though granted they're probably trying to make him look much more like Allen Guinness and all that stuff.
Yeah. I don't know. How do you think that they'll handle Hayden and
I think they'll probably do a little bit of like what they did with Leia and Anakin's confrontation in the Force Ghost. Well, I think Ahsoka has not quite yet forgiven Anakin and all that stuff for like their last encounter. But I think she'll come to terms that he is pretty back to his old self and all that stuff.
Yeah. Actually, maybe Hayden will have. I'm not gonna say he'll have a substantial because I know Sabine's gonna be in that show too, but I could see that as part of like Ahsoka's character arc. Is like the last time they saw each other, it wasn't exactly smooth sailing. It was far from that.
But yeah.
And also keep in mind this is Anakin post Return of the Jedi. We don't know how his mindset is after that.
Yeah, but yeah. Now, granted, I'll probably also say this, Lucky Chi, for other Ahsoka series as well, you're probably also going to need to look at the Book of Boba Fett. And I'm not telling you why, but you definitely need to watch a few of the episodes.
This man is breathing down my neck about this now.
He's like, No, I know. You might not like all the episodes, but there are 3 episodes that you're probably going to need to watch. Mostly for Mandalorian Season 3, but the 6th episode is definitely going to be for some of the other spin-off shows. And let's see. But yes, because like it or not, Jon Favreau is doing a sort of MCU with the Mandalorian time setting.
Okay, for anybody who is listening to this,
or has managed to listen to this after after 2 hours of us talking non-stop Star Wars and technical difficulties.
Yeah, slight difficulties. Compared to last week, it's not that bad. But no, if anyone's watching this or listening to this, if you're on a drive and you're listening to this, if y'all give me a thorough, detailed explanation, like what Blue's doing, that Book of Boba Fett's worth it, then you know what? I'll watch it. Although knowing Blue, he's probably still gonna like anytime we're off this, he's gonna be like, "Have you seen it? Have you seen it?" I'm pretty sure he's gonna.
Granted, Book of Boba Fett hasn't got exactly the best reputation, but with the exception of episodes 5 and 6, I'd say. But okay, granted, I think episode 2 is also liked, and episode 7 I think is more mixed. But But so it's like in episodes individually as a whole, lot to be decided. But like I said, there's a few episodes that you're going to need to watch, Lucky Chi, that are essential to season 3 of The Mandalorian. I know you probably don't want that to be the case, but unfortunately, that is the truth.
Hey, I never said I wasn't gonna watch Book of Boba Fett. I was just saying that I don't know. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, granted, you're lucky that Mando season 3 is not coming out until 2023, so you're not in a rush. But I think at some point you're gonna have to watch. You're gonna need to find the time to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, but it's possible that we might see Ian McGregor maybe as a Force ghost in the Mandoverse timeline, but who knows? But yeah. But there's some things about Ahsoka that I cannot spoil because you have not yet watched everything. but yeah. Other than that, let's see. The only other thing I can think of is that maybe you get a bit of the exploration of Darth Maul's crimes in Crimson Dawn. Let's see, adventures before he loses it before Rebels, though granted that might be a bit impossible to do to live action since I think Ray Park got into a scandal that kind of prevents Disney from using him.
There's that.
Let's see, so you have heard of that scandal.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I've heard rumors that due to that scandal, that canceled the live-action Darth Maul series that was going on. It was going to happen. And it's going to be animated instead. I don't know if that's true or not.
I mean, if it's animated, Sam Witwer's always doing more Darth Maul stuff.
But yeah. So overall, we've talked. That's everything we have to say. So overall, how would you give this final episode?
Originally, I was like, it's pure perfection. Originally, when I first saw it. Now I'm thinking more about it. I'm like, well, it's got some problems in it too. So I'm going to say amazing. It's an amazing episode overall. Like I said, I do have some nitpicks with Reva. But that aside, I think the way it concludes, it does enough to where if you want to stop here, you could stop here. Or if the show wants to just be like, okay, we're just getting just a series, I'm fine with that too.
I'll definitely say for the fanboy in me, I would give it like a 10 out of 10 for just like the full stuff. But due to the beginning of the episode with the whole Reva stuff being questionable, it's truthfully and more of a 9 out of 10. But if it wasn't for that, it'd be a 10 out of 10 episode.
Oh, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, see, here's the thing. I feel like if you didn't have episode 4 and you cut this down into like 2 parts, where you have the Reva stuff and then you kind of get into the Obi-Wan and Vader stuff, I think it probably would have flowed better. I think. Yeah.
Now, granted, I do probably believe that if.
But then again, it was an hour-long episode, so there's that benefit to it also.
Yeah. Now, granted, probably if this was a movie, most of the Reva stuff would have been cut out, and it'd probably be more focused on Vader and Obi-Wan, which probably would have made it more well received. Now, granted, and no doubt if this movie did come out in the cinemas, it probably would have made $1 billion at the box office because Obi Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader. That 2 of the most popular Star Wars characters back on the big screen.
I'm gonna still say this: Disney, Lucasfilm. I know it's a Disney Plus show, but for the love of God, let this come out on Blu-ray. I know people are saying Mandalorian needs to be on Blu-ray too. I'm high pitching for this one because just imagine you finish Revenge of the Sith and you go straight into Kenobi. Like, could you think about how seamless that would be? It's like you just finished up Revenge of the Sith, and as soon as you go from that, you go here.
Yes, this could be a good episode 3.5 if you want.
Mm-hmm.
With Rogue One being episode 3.9.
Well, that depends because there's also Rebels also.
Let's see. Well, that's a TV series. If we're talking about movie kind of thing, but yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, probably. But yeah. Granted, I will admit, now whether or not this show ages well, who knows? It remains to be seen. From what I can tell online, Obi Wan Kenobi is the most diverse thing for the Star Wars medium since The Last Jedi, like I said earlier in the beginning of this review. People those that absolutely love it, those that absolutely hate it. And
You're wrong if you hate it. I'm going to say that right now. You're wrong if you hate it.
Yeah. Who knows? But yeah, now whether or not this show will stand the test of time remains to be seen. But at the moment,
you want me to tell you why this supersedes Last Jedi?
Go ahead.
Because you didn't have a character throwing a lightsaber over his shoulder like it didn't mean anything, even though it was supposed to mean something. Numero facto 1.
Yeah, best to make that a serious moment than a joke. But yeah. So overall, I guess that's our thoughts for the episode. Anything more you want to say?
Nope. I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Lucky Chief, thank you for joining me and probably our longest review of the show yet.
Oh, for sure. I mean, given that it was the final episode, I had a feeling we were going to...
Yeah. And not to mention, and all the other things to talk about and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There were probably also technical difficulties as well, as people have probably seen there. And for those who end up watching this all the way towards the end, I thank you. Granted, I know it can be a bit off-putting, though granted, it's either I'd probably recommend when it comes to my streams to best watch it and listen to it in the background.
Yeah.
Which I probably should say at the beginning. Best to listen to this in the background, people. But who knows? But yeah. So anyway, I'm Blue Star Saber.
I was going to make a joke. I'm Lucky Chief. Let's just keep it there.
Yeah. And now we are signing off. Thank you for joining us, everyone. And goodbye. May the Force be with you.
And then you will die.
Do you have to end it on that note? Possibly see you next time when we finally find a Star Wars project again to talk about. But yeah.
Could be Andor.
Yeah, well, probably likely that, but see. But yeah, bye for now. May the Force be with you.
Later. Blue's gonna die.